There are 2 rounds left in the 2023 Repco Supercars Championship, and I thought that I would make a small video on my thoughts about not the championship, but a driver in particular, Shane Van Gisbergen. He's leaving at the end of this year to go and race NASCAR over in America, where they turn left for 4 hours straight. It's a bit more complicated than that, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, this man has won 3 Supercar championships. One of them was 2 in a row. And can I just say that for the past 6 years, I think, the Australian Supercars Championship has been won by a New Zealander, or a Kiwi, for anyone that's outside of Australia. I don't think I have that big of a fan base yet, or at all. But anyway, he's leaving to go race over in America, just like Scott McLaughlin did with IndyCar. He won 3 Supercar championships in a row and then pissed off to the US to drive fake Formula 1 cars. Van Gisbergen's doing the same, but to go and drive fake V8 supercars. Not really. I mean, I haven't seen supercars go flying around an oval, so there's that. But he has had a slight downfall this year. Let me get my sources up. Shane Van Gisbergen is currently 2nd place and 131 points behind series leader Brody Kostecki. Until 2 rounds ago, he was 4th. So I think it's fair to say that he has picked up the pace a little bit, but not really. If you look over it, when we go to the bend, Will Brown cucked every single one of those races and dropped from 2nd down to 3rd. Brock Feeney, he did win Sandown. Apart from that, the bend was challenging for him as well. If you're going to look at past results, I mean, Bathurst wasn't the best for Feeney. He jacked off his gear stick too much and broke. That was sad. I think we can all appreciate that that was a bit sad. Anyway, Gold Coast this weekend. And Shane Van Gisbergen is 131 points behind Brody Kostecki. Now, if we go over the season so far, let's head back into March, the Newcastle 500. For race 1 of the 2023 championship, Brody Kostecki slaps it on pole with Chaz Mostert behind. Shane Van Gisbergen was P3. Okay, solid start. Remember, this is Gen 3. No one knows what they're doing. It is brand new cars, brand new everything. So no one knew what they were doing. It's good that he got P3. What do you want me to say? Then for the top 10 shootout for race 1, he gets 6th. So he qualifies P3, is the 3rd last car to go out on track and manages P6. To some, and myself, that was pretty shocking considering he won like 80% of races last year. We get to race 1. Everyone starts out cleanly. I can't remember what happened, to be honest. But all I know is that Red Bull Ampol Racing slapped at P1 and P2 that day. Brock Feeney in 2nd place and Shane Van Gisbergen in 1st.
Squeezes the throttle for the final time, and for the opening race of the Supercars Championship, the 3-time champion gets the job done.
I woke up the next day to find out that both Ampol cars finished last because they don't even know which side of their own car that an ice box goes that they design. I don't know how ice changed everything, but Cameron Waters ended up P1 that day, and Shane Van Gisbergen ended up disqualified along with his teammate Brock Feeney. Sunday, race 2, he smashes it up 4 positions, and after a controversial shove to Chaz Mostert, which I think should have been penalised, but this is Golden Boy era, so Red Bull and Ampol Racing are the main characters. I'm not going to get into that debate. But Shane Van Gisbergen wins. And this is where we think, oh god, here it goes again. It's going to be the Max Verstappen, the Red Bull dominance in every sport. They are literally bigger than any company that Elon Musk could ever make combined. To make things quicker, we head to the Australian Grand Prix for race 3. And Shane Van Gisbergen slaps it for the 2nd race in a row. Decent. Meanwhile, a dark horse is emerging. Brody Kostecki wins race 4. So he then takes second place in the championship. Brody Kostecki wins race 5, taking the championship lead. Meanwhile, Shane Van Gisbergen, during these next 2 races, is having a mental breakdown. Race 6 was Brock Feeney. This is where the Mr. Sunday campaign started to take place, because this man could not do anything on a Saturday, but when it came to a Sunday, he was Jesus Christ. Race 7 as we head into... that's right. Race 7 as we head to Perth. Shane Van Gisbergen has an amazing battle with championship rival Brody Kostecki and shoves him out of the way. Guess who got a penalty for being arse-ended? Brody Kostecki. Race 8, Will Brown, another championship contender, put his first win. And Brock Feeney for Mr. Sunday again. Race 10, we head to Tasmania. Will Brown smashes this and wins Saturday's sprint, also Sunday, in between Brock Feeney. Meanwhile, Shane Van Gisbergen is having more of a mental breakdown. He gets damage in the first race, and I'm not actually sure if he DNF'd or not. But after Tasmania, he was 4th in the championship and 250 points behind Brody Kostecki. We head to Darwin, and oh my god, to sow the seeds of my childhood existence, Mark Winterbottom wins race 1 after Cameron Waters decided to become a barbecue. I cried that day, and it was good. Jack LeBrock wins the next race. This was a week of pure what's the hell. Everyone else is winning that's not meant to be winning. In between that was Brock Feeney again. This point, Brock Feeney is 2nd in the championship only because Brody Kostecki is smashing out consistent podiums. We head to Townsville, where the new steering arm on the Gen 3 would fold like paper mache over the curbs. Sydney Super Night, I was there. Brody Kostecki wins race 1. Shane Van Gisbergen, after like 10 or 13 straight races, finally gets a win. And I'm only sure that was his 2nd podium as well within those 10 races. So Brody Kostecki dominates the OTR Super Sprint with 3 consecutive wins, smashing out his opponent in... What am I saying? He smashes out and dominates all 3 races at the OTR Super Sprint, putting himself way above in 1st place in the championship. This is the week that Shane Van Gisbergen started to have a cry. In qualifying, he hopped out of his car 7 minutes before the qualifying session ended and just gave up. He said, the car was acting horrible, I'd rather be racing NASCAR, yada yada yada, starts to cry. Throughout that week, in every practice session and qualifying session, all we heard about was Shane Van Gisbergen and how the car was. In the races, he conceded I don't think he conceded podiums at all, actually. He was in the top 10 for most of them. Brock Feeney wins the Penrite Oil Sandown 500. Well deserved for what was to come at Bathurst. And Shane Van Gisbergen, despite being... When he was in the car for all practice sessions at Bathurst, he was just in the top 10 or out of the top 10. On the other hand, when Richie Stanaway hopped in the car for his co-drive sessions, he absolutely blistered it. In fact, in practice 6, he set one of the fastest times of the weekend. The car was not slow. Shane Van Gisbergen was. But on Sunday, Shane Van Gisbergen pops it out of whatever position he started in. I think it was like P6 or something. Stays consistent. Actually, Richie Stanaway carried that, and I'll tell you why. He ran a double stint. It was about 2 hours, that stint. That man killed himself and put the car into P1. Shane Van Gisbergen took it over in the last 2 hours of the race and brought it home for a win, doing a sick burnout at the end, as he usually does. I can't tell what Shane Van Gisbergen's plan is. I thought he was out of the season and was like, okay, cool, let's have an interesting Bathurst weekend. But no, on Sunday, it becomes a bore fest with the 97 Ampol Racing dominating pretty much most of the race. Brody Kostecki finished second in that, so he's still quite a number away in the championship. Back to single driver racing now. I'm not sure how well Shane Van Gisbergen is going to go this weekend at the Gold Coast. He's proven to be decent there over the time. What am I saying? He won like every race last year. There wasn't a track he wasn't decent at. But this year I feel like it's going to be different. I think that half the grid is going to kill themselves and DNF because the steering rods on the Gen 3 are literal just... Yes. Anyway, 2 rounds left in the season. I think Brody Kostecki can bag this one for at least a different championship winner. And then SVG is just going to play around and go off to America next year and, I don't know, do well in that, I guess. He won the first race. This is going to be a pain in the ass to edit. Is this even worth it? Shane Van Gisbergen was a good driver, in a sense. I mean, he was a successful driver. Controversial is a word to describe him. He needs to actually make some overtakes instead of doing some dirty tactics where he rubs them or molests the car before overtaking it. Apart from that, he's pretty quick. He's proven that. He's won over in America, NASCAR. He's won here multiple times. He's won rally. He's won speedway. I'm pretty sure he's won some dirt bike thing as well. I don't know. Shane Van Gisbergen has been a twat this season and probably a big fall off, and he's given up to go to America. That is it. That is the final. Shane Van Gisbergen has given up in V8 supercars. Okay? Goodbye. I'm going. I don't want to do this anymore. See you later. Ow.